Hello guys, welcome to my today's video, and today I will be discussing on the method of solving a quadratic equation by using formula. So in previous lessons we have seen how to solve a quadratic equation. Actually we have seen what is a quadratic equation and two methods of solving quadratic equations. The first one is the method of factorization, and the second one is by completing the square. And today we will be watching how to solve it with by using the formula. Okay, so let's just uh, let's just start with the definition of quadratic equation, like the general uh, view of a quadratic equation. So quadratic equation is basically when you get by solving an equation, if you get two unknown values, like two uh, roots, then that equation is called a quadratic equation. So the quadratic equation must have the highest power 2, right? So let's see uh, general form of a quadratic equation. So this is a very uh, this is a very normal form of quadratic equation, which is ax square plus bx plus c. So a is the coefficient of x square, b is the coefficient of x, and c is called a constant. The first steps now to get the formula uh, to solve this quadratic equation, we actually need to proceed by uh, through following the, if you remember, like by completing the square, like it's the same method. We have assumed the coefficient rather than a number. We have assumed that coefficient of x square and x are very we have taken like three general terms, a, b, and c. So uh, so uh, the first step to solve this equation is to make the coefficient of x square 1. So we need to make sure that the coefficient of x square becomes 1. How can we do it? If we divide this equation by a, and we need to remember, we need to keep in mind that when we will be manipulating an equation, we must do the same manipulations on both sides of the equation to keep the balance of that equation. So if we divide both sides of this equation by a, we will get something like this. So when you divide anything, when you divide 0 by anything, it will give you actually 0. So the right hand side of this equation will be 0, and the left hand side will get x square plus b by a, x plus c by a equals to 0. Now the second step. In second step, we need to make sure that this x square and x remains in one side of the equation, and this constant c divided by a goes on the other side of the equation. So if we rearrange this equation, we will get something like this: x square plus b by a, x equals to minus c divided by a. Now, do you remember the formula of the square? So the formula of the square was something like this: a plus b whole square. A and b, definitely they are not the coefficient of x square. They are just some general terms. A and b and c, some general terms here. Okay. So a plus b whole square equals to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now, if we can rearrange this left hand side in such a way that it looks something like this: a square plus 2ab plus b square, then we will be able to write it in this simple form, right? So how can we do that? Now let's see, this term b by a, if we write it in this way, if we multiply it by 2 and divide it by 2, then we get x square plus 2 b by 2a into x. So the main value remains same, which is b by a by b divided by a into x, but we have just rearranged it to look something like this. So we have x square is well 2, this 2, a, which is basically x, then b is the second term, which is basically b by 2a. Now if we add b by 2a whole square on both sides of this equation, then the balance of this equation remains as it is. But then we achieve a square form on the left hand side, right? And then we can write this square form into simple square terms like this: x plus b divided by 2a whole square. And on the right hand side we will have minus c divided by a plus b square divided by 4a square. Now, so we have simplified the right hand side, and then we have achieved x plus b by 2a whole square equals to minus 4ac. Like if we get the common term from here, which is 4a square, so if you divide 4 square divided by a, you will achieve 4a on top, and then you have to multiply it by minus c. So it will give you minus 4ac plus b square, right? Now if you square root both sides of this equation, you get x plus b divided by 2a equals to square root b square minus 4ac divided by plus minus 2a. Because when you square root something and you get a whole value, that whole value must have two different signs. One will be positive and the another one will be negative. That's the thing with square roots. So this plus minus, now we can bring it like forward of this equation, and then we can write x equals to minus b divided by 2 twice a plus minus b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So now we get the general formula for to solve a quadratic equation, which is x equals to, if you take this 2a and this 2a common in between, then you can do the adding and subtraction, like yeah, you can do that, and then you can get 2a minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac, because the both of the denominators, they are like same, 2a, so you know you can just take it, bring it, even you can just bring it forward and then write it like in more simple ways like this. Even if you write it in this way, it's fine. Let's write it like, if you just take it, if we just write it like this, so that's my b plus minus b square minus 4ac into 2a. It's basically it's the same thing. It's just it looks good, it looks more easy. So here is the coefficient of x square, b is coefficient of x, and c is the constant value. Now how do you know that this formula works? Let's solve something. So let's take this equation, 2x square minus 5x minus 3 equals to 0. So now the coefficient of x square, a equals to 2 in this equation, b is minus 5, c is minus 3. Now if we put all these values in this formula, you will get this easy simple equation, and then you can just do the manipulations. Then you will get 5 plus minus root 25 plus 24 divided by 4, 5 plus minus root 49 divided by 4. So if you take one, if this value is positive, then you will get x equals to 3. If this value is negative, then you will get x equals to minus half. And if you put these two values of x, 3 and minus half, in this equation, then you will get this, you will achieve this right hand side, which is basically 0. So if you put 3, look what happens. If you put 3, 3 square minus 5 into 3 minus 3, which is basically 9 into 2 is equals to 18, and then minus 5 into 3 equals to minus 15 minus 3, so it's basically 18 minus 18, which is 0. Even if you put x equals to minus half on the left hand side, you will get 2 minus half whole square minus 5 into minus half minus 3, which will give you something sometimes like this, which will end up as 0, which is basically your right hand side. So yeah, so this is the general formula to solve a quadratic equation. You can just use this formula rather than going through several different steps. You can just use this easy formula to solve any quadratic equation and get the roots of a quadratic equation. See you in my next video, which hopefully I will be doing on, I think, how to solve a quadratic equation by using a graph, and also solving simultaneous equations like one linear, one quadratic, which we will be discussing in my next video. Thank you for watching my video. See you soon.